Good day everyone. So, before we start our discussion, let me first introduce ourselves. I am Michaela S. Balmes.
I'm Claire Ann F. Fabillore.
And I am Yvette Magpantay.
In this video, we will give you a comprehensive understanding about what a firewall is. So, before I will give you information about our discussion, I will give a famous quote saying that if there's a will, there's a way. But if you may ask me, I may say that if there's a will, there's a wall. And there's wall is you need to break to find your way. So in this discussion, networking, the wall is what we call the firewall. Before anything else, let me first give you an examples or a scenario. So imagine that we have a house without any fence or wall that protect our houses. It is very easy to access by the passers and the robbers, and it may give a great risk in our security. And in this, we will better know how important for having fencing in our house. Similarly, in the computer networks, a computer without any protections will lead for many penetrating hackers and malicious traffic that will enter in our computer. So what we need is what we call the virtual wall that blocks the unwanted traffic and permits the wanted traffic. And this virtual wall is what we call the firewall. So in this example, I may simply say that firewall is designed, which it is a system designed to protect our computer by the different viruses, hackers, and malicious traffic that may cause harm to our computer, because it's block unwanted traffic and permits the wanted traffic. It is the main component of a computer, especially to the large computer organizations, for them to protect and keep away from harmful viruses and malicious traffic. So now that we already know what a firewall is, so let me discuss the difference or the characteristic of a firewall. So there are two types of the firewall. The physical barrier. So the physical barrier is a firewall that not allow any external or specific network without his allowance or permission. So a firewall creates a choke point or for all external data trying to enter a system or network, hence can easily block if needed to avoid harm. Next one, we have the multipurpose. So a multipurpose firewall have many functions other than security purposes. Like it configures domain names and internet protocols, or what we call the IP addresses. It also acts as network translators, and it can be act as a meter for internet usage. So let's move on to another topic, which is the design goal for a firewall. Number one is we have the flexible security policies. This is because different local systems or networks need different security policies. A firewall can be modified according to the requirement of the users by changing of security policies. The second one is we have the security platform. When we say security platform, it provides a platform from which any alert for the issue related to security or fixing issues can be accessed. All the queries related to the security can be kept under check from one place in system or network. The second one, we have the access handler. So the access handler, in the other hand, it determines which traffic needs to close according to priority or change for a particular network or system. There's specific actions or requests by initiated and allowed to flow through the firewall. So after that, so we will discuss now the benefits of a firewall security. So number one, it enforces access privilege to reduce risk because it's don't permit the unwanted traffic and permits the wanted traffic in order to have a security to help the computers away from harm. Next one, it limits the access to sensitive resources because of this intelligence to cache the information or the data that can be cause harm or can get viruses from to that will be transmit to our computer. So it is in a financial information. The next one we have it also the protect the network from cyber threats. So this cyber threat is called by the malware and or that can be get by the malicious website that we are visited or that came from any organization that can be prevented by network firewalls. So firewalls have their purpose. So its purpose is to keep our information serves and filters to detect and block intrusions and attempts from hackers on the web or any other public or private. So firewalls can also track and keep logs on attempts to access networks, adding to their security and functions.
Thank you for sharing your information, Miss Balmes. Now we all have understood what is firewall is and its characteristics. Let's now proceed to the types of the firewall, which is the software firewall and the hardware firewall. A firewall is a software applications or hardware device used to protect computers or networks against unauthorized access. Both hardware and software firewalls are valuable cybersecurity tools for businesses, but they serve different purposes. Software firewall versus hardware firewall. When comparing a software firewall, um, it it has the distinctions about the informations that looks up the firewall against the software firewall. Hardware firewalls, first the protects the network of computer. Second is more complicated to set up. The third one is it requires significant initial investment depending on the level of protection. The next one is hardware firewall protects all the components of the network. It also offers more effective security of information by acting as a barrier between the network and the external internet. One of the advantage of hardware firewall is employees might end up bypassing the firewall of reasons like convenience. To better understand the purposes of software firewall, let me give some information about it. First, it installs on individual computers. Second is much simpler to install on systems. The third one is cheaper to install in most cases. True, it can increase if the organizations has various brands of computers. Software firewall also consumes space on the server. It is not available for smart TVs, gaming consoles, and other devices. Software installed on individual computers don't offer similar protections for the entire network. It can provide also security in these cases. Software firewall protects also the individual computers against threats like malware, spyware, viruses, email spam, and other attacks coming from the external sources. For better differentiate the two, Let me explain first the hardware firewall. Hardware firewall is a physical device or a set of devices that protect the entire network from the outside world. It can also a virtual private network connections for a higher level of security and encryptions, while the software firewalls is installed on computers as the second line or defense against potential threats. This is because any unauthorized access or malicious code it is trying to block has already bypassed the router or hardware firewall. Um, a key difference is that hardware or firewall can any block a domain or website, while the software firewall can block content based on keywords. Now, we must know the different types of firewall techniques. The first one is the packet filter. This firewall techniques is observed by entering the discharging the network of each packet. Um, the second one The second one is the application gateway. It is used to apply method to definite application. It is also very effective but can inflict presentation poverty. The third one is the circuit level gateway. The circuit level gateway is concerned to security device, especially when connections is going to establish. The last one is the proxy server. The proxy server, it interrupts all messages incoming, outgoing the network.
Now we already have understood the different types of a firewall. Let's take a look to the advantages and disadvantages of using a firewall. First, let me discuss the advantages of a firewall. First, let me discuss the advantages of using a firewall. Um, a firewall prevents a hackers and remote access. For example, in a hotel which is without any security, it will be prone to a trespassers, robbers, and it also cause a threat. It also is just like in our computer system, which is if our computer system has no security, it will be prone to hackers, trojans, and malicious content. So the functions of a firewall, it will monitor and filter the ongoing and outgoing network traffic. Yeah. Second, it protects data. It ensures better privacy and security. Privacy is one of the most important things you should consider when browsing the internet. Basically, hackers tend to grab your privacy informations. However, having a firewall can help you prevent such attempts. Third, the fourth one is that it protects from Trojans. So, malware like Trojans is very annoying and dangerous threat to any users who uses the internet. Trojans is, when we say Trojans, it is a type of a malware that conceals its true content to fool a users into thinking it is a harmless file. Its existence will hidden to your PC from a long time, and suddenly you will notice a lagging performance. The last one is a network-based firewall. Like a router can offer protections to multiple systems, while an OS-based firewall can protect individual systems. Um, so let's proceed to the disadvantages of using a firewall. First is the cost. Installations of a firewall can be costly depending on the sophistications required. The second one is the performance. This is affected as each packet has to be verified for authenticity before it is allowed into a network. The third one is the virus and the malware. There are few limitations in a firewall, like its inability to prevent virus and malware attacks, for which separate applications would be required. At the individual system level, the last one is a network level firewall might bring in a false sense of security in employees and make them slacken on securing individual systems. Companies need to make all employees understand the concept of a firewall and the importance of a firewall for information security and their responsibility. Firewall maintenance and upgradations require extra manpower and resources. Also, so we are done in advantages and disadvantages of using a firewall. Let's proceed to the limitations of a firewall. A firewall is a crucial component for securing your network and is designed to address the issues of data integrity or traffic authentications via stateful packet inspections and confidentiality of your internal network via NAT. Your network gains these benefits from a firewall by receiving all transmitted traffic through the firewall. Your network gains this benefit from a firewall by receiving all transmitted traffic through the firewall. The importance of including a firewall in your security strategy is apparent. However, firewalls do have the following limitations. First is firewalls are not able to stop the users from accessing the data or information from malicious website, making them vulnerable to internal threats or attacks. Second one is it is not able to protect against the transfer of virus infected files or software if security rules misconfigured. Against non-technical security risk, social engineering. The third one is it does not prevent misuse of passwords and attackers with modems from dialing into or out of the internal network. The fourth one is the already infected systems are not secured by firewalls. In addition, firewalls cannot enforce your passwords policy or prevent misuse of passwords. Misuse of password. Your password policy is crucial in this area because it outlines acceptable conduct and sets the ramifications of non-compliance. Lastly, the firewalls cannot stop internal users from accessing websites with malicious code, making user educations critical.
So let's move on to why do we need firewalls? So now that we might already have engaged in certain safe computer or internet uses practices including this. We don't click on unknown links for attachment. Second, we only log on to the trustworthy website. Third, we only give informations to unless it is necessary. Number 4, as we have already the strong and unique complex password for each online account that which updated often. But does all of this make our devices or networks safe? So the answer for that is no. Why? Because if we use internet, it's smart to have a firewall in place because there must be a cyber threats that will be widespread and evolving. So that's why it is important to use available defenses to help protect your network and the personal information stored on your computers against cyber crimes. So if we don't have any firewall in our computers, we will have a risk. So we have three main risks. So number 1 is an open access. Without a firewall, we are expecting that every connection into our network from anyone. You wouldn't have any way to detect any threats that is incoming in your network. That could leave your devices vulnerable to malicious users. Number 2 is the loss or compromised data. So by not having a firewall, our devices will be exposed, which it could allow someone to gain or control over our computer or network. Cyber criminals could delete your data or they could use commit, identify theft, or financial fraud. The third one is the network crashes. So without a firewall, attackers could shut down our network. So getting it running again and attempting to recover your stored data could involve time and money. So firewalls are key part of security technology, especially when the different types of firewalls works together to provide an umbrella of protection firewall. So a firewalls can help our network, computer, and data safe and secure. So um, why do we need a firewall? So we already discussed why do we need a firewall. So what is the functions of a firewall? So number one is its control and monitoring data packet flow. So the firewall function on the first computer network is useful in controlling and monitoring the flow of data packets flowing on the network. The firewall functions also includes modifications of incoming data packets and available hide in IP addresses. Number two, become a network security post. Furthermore, the firewall functions on a computer network is able to control data, traffic when accessing a protected private network. All traffic either coming out or entering the network must pass through the firewall in order to be checked, either by filtering, limiting, or even rejecting. Uh, the firewall itself will work such as IP address of the source computer, the IP address of the destination computer, um, and port and information coming from the header. And next, we have log user activity. So when a computer user access already the data, the firewall would record it as a documentation. It can be log or files. The extents of these data records we use to develop a computer security. Then the function of the firewalls is associated access to the network. The fourth one is the prevent information leakage. So the function of a firewall in a computer network is not just only record the activity, but it also able to prevent the leakage of valuable information. It simply put a firewall that will prevent users from sending valuable files that are confidential or secret to other parties without realizing it.
Thank you for that brief information about the functions of a firewall and why do we need a firewall. So let's proceed to another topic, which is why does a firewall do? So a firewall basically acts as a gatekeeper. It monitors attempts to gain access to your operating system and blocks unwanted traffic or unrecognized sources. How does it do this? A firewall acts as a barrier or filter between your computer and another network such as the internet. You could think of a firewall as a traffic controller. It helps to protect your network and informations by managing your network traffic. This includes blocking unsolicited incoming network traffic and validating access by assessing network traffic for anything malicious like hackers and malware. Your operating systems and your security software usually come and with pre-installed firewall. It is a good idea to make those features are turned on. Also, check your security settings to be sure they are configured to run updates automatically.
Thank you for the information you shared, Ms. Claire Fabellore. Now we will proceed to another topic of firewall. Firewall architecture based on the predefined security rules. The firewall allows only secured traffic and block unauthorized malicious applications. A firewall is placed in the network to judge all the incoming packets and only allow secured packets. Um, Factors considered while the architecting firewall. The first one is the ability of the particular organizations to implement firewall architecture. Second is decided budget of an organization on implementing the firewall. The third one is aims decided by the organizations for network security. Um, Screen host architecture, it is the combinations of packet filtering, router and firewall methodologies such as application, proxy server, before accessing system, functionalities router filters all packets in traffic. Services are provided by the lost attached to the internal network. Let's proceed to the characteristics of screen host architecture. The first one is the one packet filtering router. The second one is the one bastion host. Dual home host architecture. The most complex versions of screen host architecture is dual home host architecture. It is to protect our system from unauthorized users accesses confidentiality information. Dual home host architecture is also used um, to um, to involving the use of two network interface cards. Secured access is provided by dual home host architecture. The next one is the screen subnet firewalls. Screen subnet firewall is the variations of the dual home gateway and the screen host firewall. In order to get more flexibility and throughout different components of the firewall are maintained on separate systems. Screen subnet firewalls is less complex as a separate components will perform separate tasks. Um, Characteristics of screen subnet firewall. The first one is the screen subnet firewall supports two packet filtering router, one bastion host. Um, the second one is screening router. It works same like the packet filtering firewall methodology. It is responsible for checking all the incoming and outgoing traffic, and according to predefined rules, it routes the packets. It is cost efficient. It can be used as perimeter protections of internal network. These are mainly useful for the internal firewalls. It can be used in networks that are providing services to the internet. Service providers mainly use screening router between the internet and their service host. If the router is attacked, the system security will come in danger. A screening router firewall architecture is a good choice for a situation where the number of protocols used in the applications are limited. Also, the protocols used are straightforward. It is the network where there is a very high level of host security. There is a requirement for maximum security. It has also required redundancy.
So, thank you for that additional information from Yvette Magpantay. So, let's proceed to another topic, which is the how a firewall can help protect your website vulnerabilities. While antivirus software helps to protect the file system against unwanted programs, a firewall helps to keep attackers or external threats from getting access to your systems in the first place. Other threats travel from computer to computer without the knowledge of the user. They can find computer that has a lower security settings or unpatched vulnerabilities and insert themselves onto that system without the user even knowing what is happening. Many worms and Trojan's horses, often known as the bots, travel this way. They utilize the internet to find computers to infect The users will never know that their system has been compromised because the threats enters their computer quietly. This is exactly where a firewall helps protect you. The firewall monitors all network traffic and has the ability to identify and block unwanted traffic. Since most computers these days are connected to the internet, attackers have many opportunities to find victim computers. These attackers probe other computers on the internet to determine if they are vulnerable to various types of attacks. When they find a suitable computer, they can compromise it and insert themselves onto that computer. At that point, the attacker can make the victim computer perform almost any task he desires. Attackers will often try to steal personal information for the purposes of financial fraud. All of this activity takes place in this background without the user knowing what is happening.
To end up this video, we conclude that firewall is very important in terms of information technology. Why? Because it provides the protection about the privacy, informations of a person who uses or browsing the internet. Because privacy is the most important thing to be secured, which a firewall does. And that's all. Thank you.